Hello and welcome to Wonder Gun Rods. I switched out the barrel on my S&W Victory 22. This is the original barrel that has about 4,000 rounds put through it, and I replaced it with a threaded barrel so that I can use this suppressor. And by the way, this is a DIY suppressor. I'll be doing a video on that later down the road. But I want to show you what it looks like after I put 7 rounds through it and just patched it out with a patch, nothing else. I didn't use the bronze bore brush or anything. But if we look through the barrel, we're going to look and see little tiny carbon spots. And those carbon spots that you see, or fouling, is in what they call the striations. That means the tool marks that were put into the barrel during the tooling process when they're making the lands in the grooves. So they're called striations. They're subterranean. They're below the level of the lands, below the surface of the lands and grooves. So anything that gets trapped in there, you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to hurt anything. Now we're back by the chamber. You see a little bit of a burn ring there, and that's one area I want to concentrate on a little bit later. I'm going to show you more about that burn ring. That's one of the main things you want to keep clean. But this bore is good and clean. I call it seasoning. What happens is some of the striations will fill in. You leave them filled in. They're subterranean, they're below the surface. They're not going to impede the bullet flying through. In fact, it'll be less vibration as the bullet passes through the bore. So that's good and clean there. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean that bore with the bronze bore brush. And the reason why I'm going to do this is I want to see if you notice a difference on that little bit of fouling that you did see in those striations. So we're going to run the Wonder Gun Rod with a little bit of mineral spirits and moisten it up here in a minute. And then if you notice on the end of my bronze bore brush, it's tapered. I don't like that hanging up, whether it's on entering from the back of the gun or from the crown of the gun. I don't like it hanging up on the lands and grooves. And it won't hurt the lands and grooves. It's just annoying if it hangs up on you. It's nice to just place it in and push it through and not have any hang-ups. So here I'm just going to go ahead and wet down the bore. I'm just going to use mineral spirits. You can use whatever solvent you choose, but mineral spirits will work just fine. And just run that back and forth and just moisten that up a little bit. And you'll see when that patch comes out, you're not really going to see any carbon on it. It's pretty clean. What little bit of carbon that is in those striations, you don't want to scrub them out anyways, but I just want to prove a point. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run the bronze bore brush through. And I'll do that 2 passes, so that'll be 4 times. All right, now as I come back on this, that's going to scrape across the lands and grooves at the crown, and that's what you want. That'll clean the very tip of the lands and grooves off at the crown. You'll see that with the bore scope when we run it through. And this particular gun, it tends to foul up in that area quite a bit. And if you do attack it from the crown like that, you're not going to hurt anything. You've got a brine nail hardness on that barrel about 197, and that brass bore brush is coming in probably, I don't know, about 95. Okay, now if we go through, you see a little bit of a burn ring right there. And you can see your original tool striations. And we should see there's a little bit of carbon right there. You see that? That's down in the striations. There you go. Leave that alone. You don't have to mess with that. It's in the striations. In a sense, you're kind of smoothing out the bore a little bit by filling those in. Less vibration on the bullet. See, that's down in the striations. Anything on top of the lands and grooves you want to remove, and that bronze bore brush will do that. And it does, there you get a little bit of a lint there from the patch. But that bore is spotless. It's only 7 rounds. But the striations that filled in need to be filled in. You don't want to try and clean them out. You can if you want to, but you're just kind of like beating your head against the wall if you're doing it, and you're going through a lot of bronze bore brushes. And really, it's the guns, there you go, the very tips of the lands and grooves where that brush went across. You want to keep those nice and clean. And you can see some tool marks there, even right at the edge. But they are smooth coming out. Now we're going to look at the barrel that I replaced. this barrel has 4,000 plus rounds put through it. You can see where a burn ring used to be right there. That's metal degradation. That's just from the heat, but there's no carbon there. This bore is completely stripped 100%. I have a video going back about 7 years on how to acid wash this particular barrel, only with stainless steel, and you can clean everything out. But I did this because I want to show you what it looks like. And you can see the lands and grooves, nice sharp edges. So your bullet's passing through there. Don't remove any metal. Only heat and friction does that over time. And you can see all the original striations, nice and clear. But that bore, there you go. There's the lands and grooves at the very crown of the barrel. You can see how sharp and crisp they are. So that bullet passing across doesn't smooth anything out. It's too soft. Okay, here I'm at the range. I'm going to put 50 rounds through each one with the Federal ammunition. I think it's 970 feet per second. So it's mainly ammo that you would shoot with a suppressor, anything under the speed of sound. It's going to be standard ammunition. Okay, here is the bore of the hammer forged Ruger. That was the gun on the left. You can see that burn ring there. And that's striations from the tooling in the chamber itself. And then that's the beginning of the lands and grooves, but this is in the chamber of the bore. We're going to look at the entire bore after we give it a cleaning. Now this burn ring you want to keep an eye on. Those of you who are having unusual fouling in your barrels, a lot of times it's because of the burn ring. You let it build up too much. It builds up too much pressure. And that causes a lot of different problems. I'll talk about those later, the different types of problems. Gas cutting and that sort of thing. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to moisten that with a little bit of mineral spirits. You can use whatever gun cleaning solvent you choose to use. And I'm just going to dampen that down real good. Now I'm going to take my brass bore brush, or bronze bore brush, and we're going to place that in there, just where that burn ring is. You'll feel the bristles hit the beginning of the lands and grooves. You know you're in the right area, and just give that about 25-30 turns. And you can get these brushes on Amazon or at Harbor Freight has a 6-pack of different ones, and this happens to be a 1/4 inch. And I'm going to use that same cotton swab and just show you how much carbon that removed off of that burn ring. And then we'll patch it out afterwards. But see that? It's a pretty decent amount. But this helps keep your burn ring under control. You don't have to remove it 100%. But you do want to keep it under control, because a lot of problems inside your bore can be eliminated by keeping that burn ring under control. You can see a little bit more carbon on the patch, but not bad. And then we'll take a look at this and see what it looks like with the bore scope. And if you notice in the hammer forged bore, you don't see all the striations like you do in the cut rifle bore. There's the beginning of the lands and grooves. So you don't see those long striations. It's a much smoother bore. But you can see little pieces of carbon here and there, but those are in the striations. You leave that alone. You know, that's not going to hurt anything. And this barrel, this is beautiful, clean. Okay, there's the ends of the lands and grooves. We're into the chamber now, and right here's where your burn ring is going to be coming up. There we go. And a little bit left in there, but that's fine. You can see a lot of stainless steel through the burn ring. You're good to go. Don't let that burn ring get completely solid all the way around. It's a bear to get out. There's the worst of it right there. If I went another 15 rounds, I probably would have got most of that out of there. But it's fine. And then I promised you at the end of the video I would show you how I do the bronze bore brush. I taper it. The only reason I taper it, I don't like it hanging up on me. It's the only reason I do it. That's brass. You're not going to hurt. You're not going to hurt your lands and grooves. Your lands and grooves. You're not going to hurt the tips of the lands and grooves, whether you push that through from the crown of the gun or from the back. Okay, I'm just taking a machine file, fine, and I'm just knocking that edge off, the majority of it, and then I'll follow up and I'll hone it with some sandpaper. And I'm starting out with like 360 grit. That's a little bit of tap magic I'm putting on there, just some lubrication. And that'll remove the file markings. Then after I use the 360, I'll switch it out and I go to a 600 grit. And really after the 600 grit, you can stop if you want. I mean, it's fine, but I went ahead and went one step further and highly polished it. I used 1000 grit after this 600 grit. Okay, here's the 1000 grit. Now you can also do this in a drill press, or you can have a hand drill. If somebody holds it flat on a table, you can mount that in your hand drill and then do it that way. One person has to hold the drill, the other person can do the honing. And then clean it off, and we'll pull it out and show you what it looks like. But what I'm going to do on the next video, this is going to be part 1. There's going to be a part 2 to this video. I'm going to take those same 2 guns to the range and shoot some high velocity ammunition, 50 rounds each. And we're going to take a look at the burn rings on both. Again, the Smith & Wesson will be due for a burn ring cleaning because I didn't do it. The Ruger, we'll see how much it added to that, an additional 50 rounds. But again, I want to thank you. Visit us at Wonder Gun Rod. Have a great day. Thank you.